Hurricane Floyd is hammering the northwest Bahamas and maybe zeroing in on South Carolina's coast. Johnette will tell you where the storm has moved since our 6 o'clock newscast.
Also tonight, hotels along our beaches are booked up tonight, full of people trying to get out of Floyd's way. And we'll take you live to the southeastern part of Florida. The surf is up, so it's concern among many people who chose to stay home. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Grip.
And I'm Vanessa Centers. Thank you for joining us tonight. We begin tonight with an in-depth coverage of Hurricane Floyd. President Clinton is already declaring Florida and Georgia disasters areas in an effort to speed up the relief efforts. Meantime, reports are beginning to pour in tonight about the damage in the Bahamas, and it does not sound good. Some parts of Nassau are said to be under 3 feet of water. Homes and buildings crumbled in winds that reached well over 100 miles per hour. But there's no word on injuries yet. But now, it's the United States' turn to watch and wait. Highways in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas are jammed with people driving away from Floyd's projected path. Some of them stopped along our stretch of the Gulf Coast. And while forecasters believe that South Carolina may get a direct hit later this week, the Sunshine State isn't letting its guard down just yet. At the very least, it may get a violent brush from this huge hurricane. Fox 10's Orlando Salinas is live in Lantana, Florida with the latest tonight. What have you got for us tonight, Orlando?
Forecasters now say it appears that South Florida may have dodged the bullet Floyd. That as the Category 4 hurricane continues barreling northwest at about 12 miles per hour. Still, it is going to be one long and anxious night here. Floyd continues teasing the Florida coastline, and while at times his winds appear to be almost nothing out of the ordinary, the caution on the coast continues. Category 4 Floyd has forced thousands of strangers into temporary shelters up and down the East Coast.
The awareness is up now. It's like reality is setting in. This is real.
Experts say the reality is Floyd may still seriously damage or destroy hundreds of miles of Florida beaches. And that concern is why many who ran in fear of Floyd are glad they did.
I don't regret preparing at all. I mean, a direct blow, just like Andrew. I mean, definitely, I think that they should prepare and evacuate if they're told to. No matter what might happen.
Floyd has forced thousands onto Florida's highways, so many so that key interstates were jammed. Airport passengers fared no better as Floyd temporarily shut down Florida's biggest airports.
Do you feel like you'll be able to get out of here tonight?
I don't think so. It's not hopeful.
Floyd even turned President Clinton's travel plans around, postponing a short vacation to keep a closer eye on Floyd.
I ask all of you here to remember my fellow Americans. And after we finish the state dinner tonight, I'm going to fly home, and we will make the best job of it we can.
Forecasters say the next area to keep an eye on is Central Florida. They believe that Floyd certainly could pound people and property there with winds of more than 100 miles per hour. Live in Lantana, Florida, Orlando Salinas, Fox News.
Thank you, Orlando, for that live update tonight.
Well, if Floyd keeps turning to the north, Georgia could feel at least some of Floyd's fury. Tonight, a mandatory evacuation order is in effect for Savannah and nearby areas. Officials in Tybee Island are also on alert. Those folks who aren't running for safer ground are stocking up on things like flashlights, batteries, food, and medical supplies. One of the biggest concerns from Floyd is a monstrous storm surge that could hit the coastal areas. That's one reason why nearly 1 million people are clearing out of South Carolina. The mayor of Charleston is telling everyone to leave. If they need a reason, they don't have to look far back in history. Hurricane Hugo slammed into the Charleston area 10 years ago. Only thing that's certain tonight is that no one knows for sure where Floyd will go.
But meteorologist Johnette Thompson is in the storm center to show you the path that most forecasters believe Floyd will take. Johnette, what is that?
And that track, as you've heard over the last several days, is off to the north, the northwest, and then making a turn eventually off to the northeast, but making landfall before it heads back out to sea. Right now, we're looking at our radar. This is our Doppler network from Orlando. You can see the spiral rain bands coming on shore in Daytona up here toward Gainesville. Matter of fact, in the Gainesville area, we've had reports of tornadoes tonight as those spiral bands have come on shore. Let's go ahead and look at our other satellite image, and we'll show you what it looks like as we look at it from the southeastern perspective. We do have, here's that trough that's run through our area and cooler, drier air behind it. Then you have the eye of the storm situated right over here. As you can see, it's been wobbling off to the northwest throughout the last several hours, and a slight wobble to the north is expected later on tonight. So where is it located right now? Well, right now, Floyd is located at 27.7 degrees north, 77.9 degrees west. The movement to the northwest at 13 miles per hour, and the winds at the center 140 miles per hour. The pressure 933 millibars, or 27.55. It's 170 miles east-southeast of Cape Canaveral, Florida. So for the next 6 hours or so, the hardest of the surf and wind will be coming onshore from central Florida all the way up to Georgia. They're going to feel surf effects from this storm all the way north to Massachusetts. And right now there is a hurricane warning in effect from Fort Pierce, Florida, all the way up to the North Carolina and Virginia border. So things are happening all the way up the East Coast, and that's what we think is going to happen. We think it's going to make that turn to the north, but make sure somewhere around the Charleston area, probably a bit north of Charleston. That's good news for them, because the bad part to be is north of where the landfall occurs. So it looks like the worst of the storm surge will be from northern South Carolina on up into North Carolina. But tonight, a lot of surf, a lot of wind, all the way from Florida into Georgia. Meanwhile, we're watching Gert out there in the Atlantic. We'll talk about Gert and give you more on Floyd with the local forecast in just a bit. Bob, Anissa?
Thank you, John Ed. Hotels and motels in northern Florida are running out of room as Floyd draws even closer to the U.S. shoreline.
Thousands of people have crossed over into southern Alabama tonight and are finding safe haven in places like Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Fox 10's Carolyn Day has that story.
People trying to escape the hurricane areas.
Still very large and very dangerous.
I don't have anything open tonight.
Sir, can I help you?
It's anything but business as usual in this off-season at Gulf Shores hotels.
I know it's going to be busy all night. This phone here, I'm just now getting a break from it, but it's been pretty busy.
Hurricane Floyd, of course, dominates our coverage.
He's also dominating hotel reservations.
I called all the Hotel 800 numbers, and they said they're all booked in Florida and Georgia and into South Carolina.
They're all booked. Within about 2 hours, we were sold out.
License plates from Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida tell the story.
Asked the one man in Tallahassee, well, how far away am I going to have to go? He said, lady, there's nothing around here. You'll probably have to leave the state.
She has that Hurricane Floyd attitude.
So Karen Stolting and her mom packed up Maggie and now find themselves hundreds of miles from home.
I'm very thankful to have a room because so many people will be sleeping in cars.
Roads are crowded as people head for safer ground.
I already made 2 reservations from car phones where they're stuck in traffic.
And, well, folks from Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina were eager to get out of their home states. Now that they're here, tucked away safely in Alabama hotel rooms, what they left behind is weighing heavy on their minds.
My entire life, all I did was pack clothes. I didn't pack the right things, the heirlooms, the photo albums.
Stolte knows she may have nothing left when she returns home. At least for now, she and others find a bit of serenity at Alabama shores, out of Floyd's furious past. In Gulf Shores, Carolyn Day, Fox 10 Action News.
Thank you, Carolyn. If and when Floyd does strike the U.S., some of your neighbors will be on the front lines.
76 Alabama Power employees and repair trucks will be out on the road bright and early tomorrow morning. They're driving to Georgia first. From there, they'll go where they're needed most.
2 canteen trucks run by the Salvation Army in Mobile are also ready to roll, and the Red Cross has already sent a volunteer to Atlanta to wait and see what Hurricane Floyd will do next. And yes, there are other stories to talk about tonight besides that big hurricane in the Atlantic.
Controversy stirring among some parents in southern Mobile County. It involves a new plan for picking up their kids before and after school. Alba Elementary parents believe it's a dangerous idea, and they want school officials to look at other options. Fox 10's Veronica Griffin heard their side. She joins us now with more. Veronica?
For a year now, these Alba parents say they've gotten used to the idea of picking up their kids in front of the school. Starting on Monday, they'll have to pick their kids up in the back, an area they say just isn't safe. Bumper-to-bumper traffic might be the norm for the interstate during rush hour, but it's become a problem for students at Alba Elementary School. They share this parking lot with Alba Middle School. Well, at least for now. Starting next Monday, Alba Elementary students will start unloading and loading in the back of the school. But some parents aren't happy about the move.
We have used this parking lot right here. It has a shelter for the kids, even in the heat and in the rain.
With the new plan, students will have to walk nearly 30 yards past the covered walkway to look for their ride. And on rainy days, there's a plan B. They can wait inside this band room. But with window sills this high, parents of 5- and 6-year-olds are asking for a plan C.
The teachers over here in middle school, it wouldn't hurt for them to be parked all the way back there behind the band. To me, it would be a lot safer.
Another concern is that parents will enter the back of the school down Alba Street. It's a one-way street. And it's the same street that many of the students take to go home.
This is not probably the best situation in the world over here. However, as opposed to how we've done it in the past, how we've loaded in the back, and the areas that children could come out, you know, from little cubby holes, it's a real dangerous situation. However, they've got it lined up completely different, so we're willing to, you know, give it a try.
Both parents and faculty members agree something must be done to free up traffic and keep the kids safe.
The goal is the safety of the students. We're concerned about the safety of the students. We want to work out the best plan, whether it's in the front or it's in the back.
As for this new plan, more work may need to be done to make it a success. Requests have been made to fix the drainage system in the back of the school and to cover existing sidewalks and add and cover additional sidewalks. Now, all that is in a facilities request for the year 2000. Again, the new pickup plan starts next Monday. Anissa?
Thank you, Veronica. A disturbing incident involving two Mobile County high school football teams remains under investigation tonight. The Sheriff's Department says at least 3 students may be charged following a fight between Mary G. Montgomery and Viger freshman players. We first told you about this last night at 10. People who saw what happened either from the field or in the stands tell us it was chaotic, fists and helmets flying everywhere. We're told it all started during the post-game handshakes. 6 Mary Montgomery players were hurt. 4 of them were taken to the hospital. Ronnie Reed says his son suffered a cut near his eye. He tells us everything went by the book until the final whistle blew. Acting on a suggestion from Sheriff Jack Tillman, Dr. Harold Dodge, superintendent of Mobile County Schools, has put an immediate stop to the post-game handshake. The Coast Guard comes to the rescue of 4 boaters in the Gulf.
This after a fire is spotted on board their vessel. Coming up, pictures from the scene.
Also tonight, neighbors don't approve of a plan that will divert traffic from a West Mobile church. What is the city saying?
First, though, a look at the closing numbers from Wall Street. The Dow plummeted about 120 points, while the Nasdaq climbed about 24.
Join us for Good Day Gulf Coast. We'll be in the garden tomorrow. It's Wednesday. Ernie will be here.
And we'll also have Pets of the Week, and Chef Paul is making a chocolate smoothie. Can you imagine? You like chocolate?
Sounds good to me.
And you like smoothies?
You gotta love it.
Put them together tomorrow on Good Day Gulf Coast.
Good Day Gulf Coast, where your good day begins.
My doctor.
None of the models are wearing underwear.
Underwear is out.
Next, Oprah.
Flames tore through a fishing vessel this morning off the Mississippi coast. Here's a look at the area, 3 miles south of Deer Island. 2 Coast Guard rescue boats rushed to the scene. This one, as you can see, poured water on the Gussie Flynn, a boat from the New Orleans area. 4 people were aboard the boat. The Coast Guard and another vessel got them to safety. The Coast Guard Marine Safety Office in Mobile is investigating the cause. A West Mobile church's plan to put an access drive in is running into some resistance. Folks who live in the Forest Highlands subdivision showed up at today's city council meeting. They don't want traffic from the Forest Hill Church of God spilling over into their neighborhood. The proposed project would allow the church to build an access road to Forest Oaks Drive. Council members delayed any action for 2 weeks to give both sides a chance to come up with a solution on their own.
Alabama Governor Don Siegelman wants to see money spent on lotteries stay in Alabama. He continued his tour of the state today with a stop in Mobile, trying to promote support for the lottery, which comes up for a vote on October 12th. Siegelman says Alabamians have already spent more than $440 million playing the Georgia lottery, money which Siegelman claims could have been spent to help Alabama schools.
In news from around the nation tonight, gunfire inside an Anaheim, California hospital leaves 3 people dead. All the victims were hospital staff members. The suspected shooter was taken into custody after a brief search. Officers aren't sure why the gunman opened fire on the 2nd floor. They're gathering clues and hope to have a motive soon.
Sentencing today for a man convicted of a killing with ties to the Jenny Jones talk show. A judge ordered Jonathan Schmitz to spend 25 to 50 years behind bars for the murder of Scott Amador. Amador was gunned down shortly after revealing he had a crush on Schmitz. That was during a taping of the talk show. While that show never aired, Schmitz claimed that he was deeply embarrassed by the incident and that caused him to kill Amador. Well, Schmitz's first conviction in his crime was thrown out by an appeals court.
100 gallons of a chemical used to kill termites spilled after a truck overturned on I-95 in Virginia today. The accident closed 3 northbound lanes of the interstate for hours. 2 lanes were reopened earlier this evening. Drivers were detoured around the spill, snarling traffic in the process. There were no injuries or evacuations.
That looked like a mess.
That's right, and there were evacuations, of course, up and down the Florida coast and Georgia,
well.
too.
And the toll roads in Florida are not collecting tolls tonight to allow people to go north, and even the southbound lanes have been open to northbound traffic. We'll talk about Gert, we'll talk about Floyd next.
Now, Fox 10 Storm Team meteorologist John Ed Thompson.
And we don't have any storms in our area right now. Matter of fact, the skies are clear. You're looking at a live picture looking over toward the river, and you can see the people moving up and down Interstate 10, moving off to the east and heading across the bay. Here's what it is in Tillman's Corner right now, with clear skies, currently 77 degrees, light winds currently, no rain today, humidity up a bit because the temperature is down. It's at 69%, but the humidity basically is going to stay down with the winds out of the northeast. The high normally this time of the year, 87, the normal low 70. We went to 90 degrees in Mobile and Pascagoula. The high in Pensacola was 92, 93, the high in Fort Walton Beach, 63 the low in Fort Walton, 67 Pensacola, and 67 in Mobile. The record high, 96 on this date, and 52 the low. Back in 1902, the high of 96 happened in 1995. Happening in 1999, this is what's happening right now. You can see the skies clear over Florida, Mississippi, and Alabama, but this is a weather maker, and that weather maker is moving off to the northwest. The name of that weather maker is Floyd. Floyd is a major hurricane, still with winds of about 140 miles per hour. I'll back out, and you can see it's causing rain showers all the way along the coast to North Carolina. And there currently still is a weather warning, a hurricane warning, all the way from Fort Pierce, Florida, up the Atlantic coast, through Jacksonville, and all the way to the Virginia, North Carolina line. This is what's going on right now. Strong spiral rain bands coming on shore all the way from Melbourne, Florida, north to Gainesville, and all the way into Georgia. The eye of the storm is off here, about right there, and it's moving off to the northwest at about 12 to 14 miles per hour. Here's your location of Floyd right now, 27.7 degrees north, 77.9 degrees west, moving to the northwest at about 13 miles per hour. Central winds 140 miles per hour sustained, and of course gusting higher than that. 933 is the millibar, the central pressure, and it comes out as 27.55 inches of mercury. The location's 170 miles east-southeast of Cape Canaveral, so about 170 miles off the coast, and the worst of the weather in central and northern Florida will be from now until sunup tomorrow as it continues tracking almost parallel to the coastline. Here's where it should be about 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, somewhere off of Jacksonville. And then by Thursday, 1 a.m., about midnight our time, it will be up here near Charleston. We think landfall will occur around the Charleston area, possibly a little north of there, and then track on into South Carolina and North Carolina. Gert's off here in the Atlantic. 125-mile-per-hour winds on your chart, 17.3 and 46.7. We'll keep watching that, of course, and we'll watch what we're expecting tomorrow. We're looking at partly cloudy skies tomorrow, but tonight our skies are clear. It's going to be mild. Our overnight low, 64 to 69 degrees, breezy at times with northeast winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour. Northeast winds tomorrow, 20 to 25, even higher along the coastline in our area. Partly cloudy, a high in the mid-80s. It's going to be fairly comfortable tomorrow, and here's your extended forecast. We're calling for a low Friday morning of 59, 56 on Saturday. So sunny to partly cloudy weather in our area, maybe some rain showers Sunday or Monday. Nothing to do with the storm that's on the Atlantic right now.
And we're glad to hear that. Thanks, John Ed. If you want a sign of just how frightened Floridians are of Floyd, all you have to do is look to Disney World.
In its 28-year history, the theme park has never closed because of a hurricane until now. It was an eerie sight to see the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and the rest all closed. But with the threat of the catastrophic damage looming, Disney decided to send their people home. It was the same story at SeaWorld and Universal Studios, as those parks didn't want to take any chances either. A new beginning for a famous clock tower at the University of Texas.
Details in a moment. Plus, violence erupts after a soccer match in South America. That story from Fox 10 Action News at 10 p.m. continues.
Peacekeeping troops could soon be on the way to East Timor. The UN Security Council is considering a resolution that would authorize an international force to do whatever is necessary to restore order. Some of those lucky enough to escape the violence arrived in Australia today. Thousands of troops are waiting to leave. They are just an hour's flight away from East Timor. The action off the field got really heated in Argentina. One soccer team's fans threw rocks and sticks at a busload of the other team's supporters. A number of people were injured in the melee and by breaking glass. Police did move in, and they fired rubber bullets and tear gas to clear up the streets. They rounded up many of the troublemakers and hauled them all off to jail.
A tower with a bloody past will reopen tomorrow for the first time in almost 25 years. University of Texas students will notice some changes to the campus's infamous clock tower. For one, it will have a steel cage welded around the perimeter of the observation deck so nobody can jump. 8 people committed suicide in 1974 by doing just that. 8 years earlier, a sniper climbed the 375-foot tall tower, killed 14 people and wounded 21 others. Before those terrible acts, the tower stood as one of Texas's main tourist attractions. How much would you pay to own the jewelry worn by Princess Diana on her last official engagement? You'll have your chance to do that later this year. Diana's necklace and matching earrings contain 214 diamonds and 7 pearls the size of lemon drops. It's likely to be the only set of jewels worn by Diana to be auctioned off. The starting bid for this, $500,000. A portion of the total will go to UNICEF.
And Lance is all in.
I know how much I'd pay for it, but I think someone else is going to pay more.
Yeah, how much we can afford to pay for it, you know.
That's right. All right, coming up, we're going to talk football. Bad news for Leon Lett. We'll tell you how long he's suspended for, and we go to the baseball diamonds for Pennant Fever. Stay with us. Sports is coming.
There are those who just don't do business as usual. Instead, they focus on what they do best. And
it's scoreboard check-in time. The Braves lead in the NL East with just a single game heading into tonight. Bravo is taking on the Padres as we speak. Right now, they are in the 5th inning. Atlanta leads it 6-1. The Mets playing in Colorado, and Rocky's doing some damage here. Vinny Castilla, the 2-out, 2-run homer in the 3rd, his 30th of the year. Colorado beats New York 7-2. If the Braves hang on in San Diego, they'll pick up a game on the Mets. Hottest team in baseball are the Houston Astros. Hosting the Phillies tonight, Stros pitcher Shane Reynolds belts a 2-run homer. 12-2, the Astros win their 12th straight game. They lead the Reds by 4 games in the NL Central. It is always loud at Tiger Stadium, and Saturday night's going to be no exception as Auburn goes in against the Bayou Bengals. It's the conference opener for both teams. Auburn was picked to finish last in the SEC, but at 2-0, Tommy Tuberville says so far, so good.
If somebody had asked me earlier in the season where we'd like to be, not just wins or losses, but on offense and defense and kicking game, this would probably be about where we figured we'd be at. We made some improvement in some areas, but we've still got a long way to go. But the emotions are high. Our players are practicing hard. They're practicing harder this week because I think they understand the urgency of where we need to get to be able to compete with a team like LSU on the road.
All right, Alabama already won its conference opener, beating Vandy in Week 1. This Saturday, they host Louisiana Tech at Legion Field. A couple of years ago, Tech came in and beat the Tide, so Mike DuBose doesn't expect them to be intimidated this time around.
The finest, if not the best, college quarterbacks in the game today in Tim Rattay, and same quarterback that started against us 2 years ago and just went up and down the field. I think they have 9 offensive players, not necessarily starters, but 9 offensive players that played against us 2 years ago, so they know how to come to Tuscaloosa, come to Birmingham and win.
All right, both Alabama and Auburn getting started at 4 p.m. on Saturday. For the 3rd time in 4 years, Cowboys defensive tackle Leon Lett will serve an NFL-imposed drug suspension. The former Fairhope resident found out this one's for 8 games. And it's been coming since early June when he failed a drug test. Since he already sat out the Cowboys opener, Lett will miss the next 7 games. Listen to team owner Jerry Jones attempting to respond to Lett's latest problem.
We're going to have players in his place that I'm confident we can get in here and compete the way we expect to compete. Again, I'm disappointed. There's really, I'm glad that we have a definitive time when we can expect him back.
I don't know, it doesn't sound very happy. I tell you,
No,
a great player on the field, but he certainly had his off-field troubles, Leon Lett. He will be back November 14th when the Cowboys host Green Bay.
Okay, thanks, Lance.
Be right back. Action News for this Tuesday night. Thanks for joining us.
Remember, Good Day Gulf Coast with Don Davis and Nancy Pierce begins tomorrow morning at 6, but make sure you stay tuned. Stick around for Mama's Family. It's next.
You're watching WALA, Fox 10.